together. You could call it a vision or a tether. All at once I can see it, put back together. You could call it a vision. You could call it a vision. You could call it a vision.
Variety princess, yeah. Variety princess, yeah. Variety princess, yeah.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the stream. Stream got pushed back a bit. I was very tired, and then I took a nap. I woke up, my head was hurting, so I was like, I need to get some more rest. I didn't get enough sleep. So I ended up pushing it back because this game is a lot of reading, and you want to be like, you want to be awake for this. You don't want to be like feeling tired or feeling, drowsy, because then you won't have that sound and that like pep in your voice that kind of makes it more interesting to watch, because it can get kind of tiresome watching somebody who's like very monotone and tired reading a bunch of paragraphs. So I was like, I feel like it'll be better for me to just like kind of maybe take a nap and then do a later stream. So we're probably just gonna do like two, I think they're called what, moments, I think. Yeah, moments. We're gonna do 2 moments, maybe 2 hold on, let me, oh my gosh, I keep having that opened. No, there wasn't a man keeping me up. Let me see, double tap to show menu. All right, let me change my gaming thing. Our life. Okay, it should pop up now. All right, let me move myself over here. Yeah, so we're probably gonna do the next 2 moments, maybe 3, depending on the length of them. But yeah, I just want to let you guys know how many we're doing, so you don't think it's gonna be like a bunch. But they're usually pretty long, even though the length of them are different. Like I've noticed some of the moments are shorter than others, and then there's some that are a little bit longer. So we've done hang, which hang was when we went to the beach, I think. And then errands is when our parents left us. And then also, guys, in the chat, remember, no spoilers for any of these, like unless I ask. But let's just go ahead and jump in. We're gonna do talks, guys. We're gonna do talks, and then we're gonna do charity. Minga says that they're typically fairly long for this part, so we'll probably just do 2 then. Okay. Another placid summer day was drifting by. Your daydreams were chasing each other, none sticking around long enough to become a firm plan, but you really didn't mind that right now. A tapping worked its way into those dreams. Focusing more, you realized it was coming from your window. A grin popped on your face as though it had been waiting all day for this moment. Heading to the window, you could see Cove outside. His habit of climbing this way really was a true Coveism. He'd rather scale your house than wait the couple extra minutes for you to come down. You stood aside to give him space. You held out a hand to him. I'll hold out a hand to him, even though like I'm still not, I don't know how I feel about Cove. I feel like he still has the potential to grow on my character, but like at the same time, I'm kind of like, he's a brother. Like I don't know. I don't know. Then we have people like Baxter who's trying to like come on to us, and he's kind of like really too forward. Okay, but we'll see what happens. You offered Cove a hand to help him. Once he was mostly inside, he took it to help steady the last bit of his entrance. Though considering how many times he'd done this, he hardly needed the help. Hey. See, like, his voice, I don't know. Like the hey, like I don't know. It's giving little brother vibes a little bit. Hey, Rain. Oh, I gotta do his voice. Hey to you. You think my mom should invest in some bigger windows? Cove laughed at that and took one last look at his exclusive entrance. He hummed with a teasing look on his face. It'd make my life easier, that's for sure. Cove's voice came out quietly with a strangely pleased smile on his face. Did something happen? Cove opened his mouth to answer, only to have your phone ringing cut him off. You both turned to where it rested a little further up on your bed. It was still face down, so you couldn't tell who was calling. It's okay. Your attention shot back to Cove. He smiled at you awkwardly.
Don't worry about it.
Go check. It could be important. I'll wait. Thanks. You shuffled forward and scooped the little noisemaker into your hands. You flipped it over and checked the caller ID. It's Miranda. Oh, you should answer it. I want to say hi too. Okay, with a nod, you accepted the call and said to the speaker. Hi, Miranda. Hi, bitch. Why she got an attitude? Girl, fix your fucking attitude. There was something off about her tone. Cove met your gaze and you saw the same confusion in his expression.
Have you heard from Terry?
Have you heard from Terry at all, or did you hear about her from Cove? Huh? No, she hasn't called me, but Cove is with me right now. Hey. Oh, hi, Cove. Is that what you were going to say? He shook his head no before realizing that it wasn't a good enough answer when one person couldn't actually see it. No, Terry hasn't called me today either. Is something wrong? Bruh. Baxter done killed her ass. At that, Miranda couldn't hold herself together any longer. The muffled sobs from the other side of the line were unmistakable. Terry doesn't like me anymore, if she ever did. What? That doesn't sound right. You're probably her best friend out of all of us. Yeah, why do you think that? She sniffled and there was a pause as you could hear her shift the phone to her other hand. Terry was here the other night watching movies with me. We were up super late. She realized her parents probably went to bed so they couldn't pick her up. My mom and dad were definitely asleep then. Dad works early. I tried telling her it was okay to just spend the night and she could text her parents what happened, but Terry really didn't want to. You glanced at Cove. He was equally unsure as you were about where the story was going. It didn't sound like a friendship-ending situation. I suggested things to make it easier if she was nervous, like she could sleep by herself in my room while I stayed somewhere else. Yeah? And I said we didn't have to sleep at all. We could have kept watching movies until one of our parents woke up. I wouldn't have minded. I know not everyone can do sleepovers, but Terry wouldn't even tell me what was really wrong or what I could do to help. I thought we could tell each other everything. I guess I was wrong. Did she stay in the end?
No.
We got too loud in the kitchen and my dad woke up. He offered to drive her home when he heard what was wrong. She texted me apologizing for my dad having to do that when he needed rest, but that was it. She isn't talking to me anymore. You could hear every bit of the tears and heartbreak in Miranda's voice. This continued to be a shock for your neighbor, but Cove recovered and spoke gently. I'm really sorry.
I mean,
there's no way Terry wanted to make you feel this bad or that she's just done with your friendship because of this. Miranda sniffing continued. You hope she had plenty of tissues handy. I thought she called because she had an attitude with us. I'm like, what did I do? Okay, so she had a fight with Terry, or it doesn't even seem like it was a fight, so it'll be okay. I hope Terry's all right. It's really weird that she reacted like that. It's not a big deal, honestly. You weren't sure what to say. I'll tell her it'll be okay. I mean, I don't understand. What's up, Joe? I don't understand why this, like, you get what I'm saying, guys? Like, I don't understand. I feel like there's obviously more to the story here, right? Like, this isn't normal. This isn't, I don't really know Terry that well. Obviously, like me in real life, I don't really know her that well because we haven't really seen much of her in the game. But from what she's presented us with, she doesn't seem like she would do that, but I don't know. And they seem like, Cove seems like he knows her. I know he knows her quite a bit, so, and he seems like he's kind of confused as to why she would react like that. It doesn't sound like her, so I really don't know. I'm just gonna comfort her though. It had to be. You couldn't imagine any alternative. Miranda's voice sounded a little bit more collected after finishing her story, but you knew that the crying was far from being done. I thought she'd have reached out to one of you by now. Maybe she's not talking to anyone. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you and Cove about this. Hey, we're here for you.
right.
You can tell us things. Thank you. Her shaking voice finally conveyed a little optimism, or at least relief that she wasn't dealing with it entirely on her own.
Is that all right?
That's fine. You guys don't have to apologize. If you do hear from her or anything, could you let me know if she's all right? We can. Thanks. Let's talk later, okay? Bye. 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 That didn't really seem like an especially productive point to end the call, though you also weren't sure where to go from there. Looking to Cove, his face seemed as lost as yours. With no alternative, you hung up and put your phone back on your bed. Cove crossed his arms, a frown creasing his face. He began to pace the length of your room, clearly trying to put the pieces together in his head in a way that made sense. You were worried. You felt pretty confident about this working out well. It sounded like trouble to you. You weren't sure how to react. I'm sure, because I don't know if this is something we should be overly concerned about, or if Terry's just being an asshole. Like, I don't know. It was all too sudden and unclear. The empty state of your head before learning this was not helping you now. You couldn't put two thoughts together, and flopping back on your bed, you stared into space. We should probably try calling Terry. Cove's voice managed to drag you back to some grounding. He'd stopped pacing, but you still saw a perturbed look on his face. Hi, Nocturne. How are you? Is it really something we should get involved with right now? Hey, Tyler. Cove's mouth pressed into a hard line. At the moment, it seemed like the two of you were on very different wavelengths as to how to deal with this.
Come on.
I want to talk to Terry. She's my friend, too. Fine, then let's call her. Cove looked away and pulled his phone out. You went over and stood at his side as he was dialing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Cove let it ring and ring and ring. Terry didn't answer. There wasn't even an option to leave a voice message. Your shoulders slumped and Cove looked even more troubled. If that was possible. He turned to you as if for some lifeline. Could you try calling? I'm gonna send a text just like, hey, I was trying to reach you, call me or something. Yeah. You took up your phone once more. Unfortunately, after another set of interminable rings, the line went dead. No answer, no voicemail. Hanging up, you saw Cove visibly deflate. He rubbed his arm, eyes distant, openly struggling with the whole affair. I don't like this at all. They're fighting. We barely know anything and we're supposed to just wait and see? Despite it only being a minute since he texted Terry, Cove checked his phone again. He was desperate for progress, for something, and you frowned as you watched him. You need to try to relax. You're making me nervous, or you're making me anxious. Same thing. There's no way Terry has answered you. That's kind of mean. They're gonna get over it, you know. You stay silent. I'm gonna say you're making me anxious. Cove stared hard at the screen as though he was trying to will a new message to appear. As your words sank in, he forlornly let his gaze fall to the side. Cove's voice came out so small and quiet that you would have missed it if he hadn't already taken your full attention. Sorry. You nodded slowly. Cove closed his eyes, letting out a sigh as though trying to clear away pressure from inside his chest. Glancing at your own phone in vain, you considered sending a text message too, if that would even help. This was making you feel all twisted up. You could see the same sort of discomfort on Cove's face. There was something consoling in that, at least. Words drifted from his mouth like a feeble breeze. It'll be fine. It's gonna be okay. Yeah. You could hear it in both of your voices how much you wanted to give and receive reassurance. You tried to believe the sentiments, weak as they were. What do we even say if we do hear from one of them? His pacing resumed as he attempted to answer his own question. We should probably tell them to talk to each other instead of only us, maybe. He slowly came to another halt like a gear winding down. We should find out Terry's side of the story. We should just comfort Miranda and let up with Terry. I don't know. We should only tell them to work it out between themselves, that's it. You wondered why you always had to come up with things. You didn't say anything. I mean, I think we should kind of hear what Terry has to say. We literally have no idea for half the part of the story. Like, we really don't know what happened. None of us know. Miranda doesn't even really know what's going on. Nothing could be done until you knew what she thought of this. That much was certain. Cove nodded slightly in agreement. For several minutes, you both remained there in silence, drowning in your thoughts. Eventually, Cove turned around. I'm gonna text Terry that we already know what's going on. Maybe she'll have an easier time talking to us because she won't have to pretend or explain. Yeah, that might be the only way to get her attention. You can't do that. Miranda didn't say it was alright to admit she talked to us. True. I mean, I do agree with this. You felt way too overwhelmed to know what to say next. I think you're pushing too much. That's not a good idea, Cove. Not at all. Why are you so fixated on this? That's a lot of options it gave you. Right, it is giving me a lot of options. Let's see. I do like that this game gives a lot of options, though. I like having a lot. I would probably say this one because we don't want to get drama started. So, yeah. Miranda called you asking if Terry had opened up about it, and then she told us about what happened in private. She didn't know if Terry would be okay with any of that. I mean, he's also kind of right, though. What do the different colors mean? They said it in, hold on, let me see if I could save this. Let's go ahead and save this and then go out to the menu. Let me see, it tells us here in this. I think it had said something like the colors don't actually, they're not necessarily like if you choose one, like basically there's no bad decision. Oh my gosh, what the hell? Yeah, see, Cove grows and changes over the years. How he's treated and what he experiences help shape who he becomes. Okay, so it's talking about creating them. Okay, making the choices you want is always more important than making a choice because you feel like you have to in order to get a certain result. When a choice does appear, usually you'll see that hovering the cursor over an option shows a certain color, yellow, blue, or green. The colors aren't related to specific points or effects. They're only there to give a bit of insight on the tone/emotion of the choice, since text alone can potentially be read in more than one way. So it's kind of like, you know, the way, you know how things can kind of get misread in text messages, but it may not be the tone of your meaning for it to be. It's kind of to give you an idea of that. So like blue tends to be casual/straightforward, yellow more emotive/reactive, and green less certain and uncommitted. And it says, though there are hundreds of options in our life and not every choice menu falls in line with that pattern, picking just one color every time doesn't give a gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like, otherwise switch between them freely. Always pick yellow, never pick yellow. Pursue romance right from the start, never romance the love interest. Be disagreeable or amiable. None of them will lead to a bad ending. So, yay. Okay, let's get back here. No. We need to load. Yes. Okay, as I was saying, I do agree with what he's saying here. Miranda did talk to us about it, but I mean, still, and Rain's right here, what she's about to say. That doesn't make it fine to do that to her. Terry isn't talking to Miranda at all. If you want to tell Terry, we could still talk to Miranda about it first. I do agree with what she's saying too. I agree with everybody. Everybody is making really good points.
I get it.
We could, but if Miranda wanted it to be a big secret, then she should have just said that. And if she does want to hide it, I don't think we should. Okay, well, is Terry your bae? Like, why are you getting so defensive? You're being really mean right now. You need to just stop already. We still should call Miranda. You felt way too overwhelmed to know what to say next. Being tense doesn't mean it's okay to act like this. We should still call Miranda. It's only fair. For a moment, Cove thought about what you said. Calmly, you added, I'm not saying we can't tell Terry ever, but we just have to talk to her about it so she understands. A small noise escaped his lips. All the frustration of the situation crumbled away from his face, and he spoke softly. Thanks, Rain. I'm glad it's not just me with all this happening. Cove took one last look at his phone and then put it away. His effort at a smile was meager but earnest.
It's okay.
We can just forget about it for a while. Terry will talk to us when she wants to. You smiled just a little bit. Finally. That sounds good to me. I like to be alone for a while. Could you leave? You simply nodded back. I'm gonna say finally. The word tumbled out of your mouth, and for a moment you were worried it would set things off again with Cove. He rolled his eyes but didn't say anything more about it. A silence stretched on in what felt like hours, but it likely wasn't that long before there was a knock at your bedroom door and Mom peeked in. Just wanted to check in on you. Oh, Cove, when did you get here? When she saw you were there, she opened the door all the way. Ma was standing there as well. She slipped past her wife to come inside your space. What's going on? We're okay. It's just Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. It's just Miranda called earlier. She and Terry are fighting, but none of us know what's going on with Terry. Your parents exchanged a meaningful look, though its meaning was lost in you.
I'm so sorry.
That's too bad. I'm sorry there's trouble with your friend, sweetie. Is there anything we can do to help? Out of the corner of your eye, you saw Cove rub his arm awkwardly, unable to add anything. No, we're just waiting to see if Terry calls or texts or if Miranda does. Well, we can at least help you take your mind off of things while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Another great idea, Alani. We can get the whole gang together for some quality time. Mom gave you a soft smile and added, this will be good, especially since it might help make up for what happened at the farmer's market. Yes, it'll be wonderful. I'll go see what Liz is up to right now. Excited, she fluttered a few steps away and then stopped. She pivoted on her heels and raised a single finger, flashing a big smile at Cove.
It's no trouble.
And of course, Cliff will be welcome too. Knowing your family was always there for you, that couldn't be underestimated. In fact, it meant everything to you that your moms cared so much. I really appreciate this, thank you. Yeah, thanks, that's nice of you.
You're welcome.
You're both very welcome. Don't sweat it. Not so kiddos, leave things to us. Not so kiddos, what the hell? Just relax and we'll call you when it's all together. You nodded and your moms dispersed for now, springing into action for their impromptu get-together. You flopped down in your bed, feeling like you could sink into it and disappear. Cove, meanwhile, took a spot on a chair off to the side. You sighed at the same time, and Cove's mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. He gave his phone another quick check and his eyebrows furrowed. Still nothing? Yep, this is crap, huh? Yep. Cove chewed the inside of his cheek as if to mimic the stress that was clearly eating away at him. Cove, what's wrong? What's really wrong? One disagreement doesn't make you act like this. That got a pointed pause in his movement. Cove was carefully trying to put his thoughts together. He spoke in a fragile voice. When people you care about, when they're unhappy with each other, there's nothing you can do. At least when you're in a fight with yourself, you have some responsibility, some control over it all. Or in a fight yourself, my bad. I wish it didn't have to happen, but that isn't possible, so oh well, I guess. His attempt at giving a nonchalant shrug after that was pitiable. I mean, I get what he's saying, because there's like nothing we can do except kind of wait and see what happens, but at the same time, it's like, we have no control over it, so we shouldn't stress about it either. Yeah, it makes me feel horrible too. True, but you're right that it can't be helped. It's whatever, other people can do what they want, right? You stayed silent. I'm gonna say this.
I know.
He replied like he could barely muster the strength to speak. Well, we just have to focus on the things we can impact, or at least try. You turned to Cove, hoping your eyes conveyed the message you were feeling better than your words. His gentle nod told you that they did. There was a question you had to ask. Is it because of what happened with your parents? Cove ran a hand through his hair, a strained smile spreading across his lips. For him, this pain struck close to his heart. Just as quickly as it had come, his smile was gone, lost amidst his faraway gaze. Yeah, you got it. It's like my parents. Despite knowing him for so many years, Cove had never spoken of the years before he moved to Sunset Bird, before his parents separated in any detail. He whispered his thoughts distantly, almost unconcerned with whether you could hear them or not. I didn't even think about what happened with his parents.
That's...
They used to fight all the time. I think they got along when I was a baby. I mean, they had to have wanted to be with each other at some point. But when I was old enough to remember anything, it was already bad. There was always something wrong and I could never help. I just wanted them to be happy. You tried to imagine your moms breaking up and the very idea scared you, but Cove had endured that for real. I'm sorry. Rain,
Don't worry about it.
despite that revelation, Cove gazed reassuringly at you. It's not like that anymore. Things are so different now. I don't even really think about it. Again, the sorrow reasserted itself. When he continued, you could barely hear him. Though, I guess it's pretty obvious I haven't forgotten either. You tried to smile for him. You crossed the room and took his hand. You went over and placed a hand on his shoulder. You hugged him. I'll do this. He stared at you, startled for a moment as you crossed the room to him, but then he relaxed when you gently grabbed his shoulder. At least we have each other through the good and the bad, right, neighbor? Cove's eyes shined as his mouth pulled into a bent smile. It brought a smile to your own face. Yeah. When you finally let go, the two of you took a seat again, but this time side by side on your bed.
Well...
Today was a lot, huh? Yeah, it was. You sat there contentedly, you leaned against him. I'm just gonna sit here, I'm so sorry. After everything today, you felt a sense of relief. The two of you still had one another. No matter what happens, we can make it work. His mouth pulled into a bent smile at that. You chuckled.
Me too.
And for a while you stayed like that. A comfortable quiet fell between you and the sun fell with it. The warming calm ended when Cove gasped sharply. You spun, half expecting to find him nursing an injury, but instead found him staring straight ahead. What?
Oh my god.
I think my phone just vibrated. Alright, he needs to calm down. Check it out. Right. He patted his pockets, fumbling in his panic, and yanked the phone out. The force of the action nearly catapulted the device out of his grip entirely, but he caught it just in time. His eyes honed in on the screen. It's Terry, thank God. She says she's sorry. He looked back to you, eyes wide as his nerves started to fray once more. What should I say? I don't know. Give it a second. I need to think. Tell her to call us. Ask her what's going on. Ask if she's talking to Miranda. You clammed up. Give it a second. I need to think. Sorry. Cove's intense stare went from you to the small message, his mouth and brow pinched with remorse. He hadn't meant to put his stress onto you. His thumb trembled as it hovered over the screen, and then Cove's phone buzzed further. Ah, it's Terry again. She's talking to us. You leaned in, watching the conversation unfold on Cove's screen.
Right.
She's gonna actually call. Cove held his breath as you waited. Though he was good with people, he'd never been at ease managing conflict. His phone rang out. Cove jammed the answer button, his reflexes instantaneous. He switched the phone into speaker mode, allowing you to participate in the conversation. But despite his immediate reaction, his voice lacked the same resolve when he spoke. Hey. It was tentative, a white flag fluttering in the wind. Rain is here too. Hi, we've been worried about you.
Hey.
Hey, buddies. Terry's voice was barely recognizable without her usual quick patter and energy.
Are you okay?
I don't know, probably not. Cove tensed, his free hand coiling into an anxious fist. Can you talk to us about what happened? You heard Terry sigh over the phone as she unburdened herself. Pretty much. I was at Randy's house. We decided to watch a movie she super liked that I'd never even seen before. Turns out there's a lot of those. We watched one, then another, and another. We were having so much fun. Each time one finished, she had another one to share with me. I didn't really think about the time. I only wanted to say yes to Randy and watch her movies. She spoke wistfully, but her words were full of affection. It was Randy, you know. I wasn't thinking about my schedule or what time it was. I get it. Then I finally saw the time, and oh no, it was way too late. I already knew I couldn't stay. She took a deep breath, her voice becoming softer when she resumed talking. Hi, H. How are you? I was so stressed out. I just couldn't deal with it. Miranda wanted to help. She kept coming up with ways to make it better and trying to figure out why I was so upset and stuff. I was trying to answer her questions, and there were so many, but I couldn't really answer all of them. I didn't even know why some of her ideas didn't work with me. It made my head ache. I still had the first problem, and Randy there, trying to help, blasting all these questions and suggestions at me faster than I could even think. She gulped audibly, sniffing. I got frustrated and told her to just leave me alone, but then she wanted to talk about why I wanted that, and we started having a fight in the kitchen. I woke Randy's dad up. We told him about how I wanted to go home, but my parents couldn't get me, so Mr. Eckert offered to do it. That's nice of him. Terry groaned. I know. I accepted because I definitely couldn't stay then, not after throwing a racket and turning it into a big deal. But I feel awful and embarrassed. Why did I yell at Randy and hurt her feelings? And I made her dad lose sleep by waking him up and having to drive me home. What do you say after that? I have no idea. I don't know where to start, and I don't want to make it worse by saying the wrong thing and fighting again. So I'm not talking. Terry, Randy isn't mad that you didn't want to stay or that you fought. She just wants to feel like you could talk to her. I mean, you can say whatever you want. She'll listen. Not talking to her at all is pretty much the only wrong way to go about it. Terry lamented mournfully on the other end of the line, but he had a point. Unless she faced Miranda again, there would be no resolution. I feel like this fight is so stupid. Is it just me? I feel like this is really stupid and petty. You looked at Cove, hunched over the phone, staring pensively into it and searching for a solution. It's going well, H. This couldn't be solved with the other key party missing, but what if you brought them in? Your phone was still free. You suggested calling up Miranda now. You rung Miranda without saying a word. I'm gonna suggest it. What if we called Miranda? That way you could talk to her, but wouldn't have to do it alone. Cove brightened up. The concerned furrow in his brow, which had taken root where Miranda first called, eased.
Well,
that could work. Terry, are you up for it? She made a noise that wasn't a word, but nevertheless conveyed her hesitation and worry. But she brought it to a close with a decisive exhalation, as if pushing all negative thoughts from her body. All right, I'll do it. Cove nodded. Now that you received approval from everyone, you pulled out your phone and called Miranda. You set it to speaker and waited for her to pick up. Luckily, she did.
Hi.
Her voice was still distant, as if her thoughts were elsewhere, but it was loud enough for your needs. Hi, you're on speaker. Terry is on speaker too, on Cove's phone. Oh. She paused while she digested this information. You watched the phone screen, hoping she wouldn't hang up as a result. Yep, it's really me. Can you hear my voice all the way from your house to theirs and then mine? I can. You and Cove exchanged looks, waiting for the wall between them to break and wondering who would be the one to do it. Y'all don't have frickin' conference calling on your phones? Like, ain't this a smartphone? Why y'all gotta, like, call people on separate devices and stuff? As the quiet dragged on, you caught Cove chewing his cheek. He must have weighed up the same question as you, whether to encourage the conversation along or leave Miranda and Terry to resolve it themselves. The answer came in the form of one sniff, followed by another from Cove's phone.
Sorry.
Randy, I hope you so like me. What? You were the one acting as if you didn't like me. Her tone was defensive, no doubt a result of her wounds from last night still being raw. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just do a conference call. And yeah, this, I know they're teens, but this, I don't get it. I don't know. No way, everyone likes Randy. You're wonderful. Your eyes met Cove's. His phone was tilted towards you, capturing the call indirectly. You moved your phone closer to his, hoping the signal was strong enough to convey every nuance of tone. Cove did likewise, bringing his cell right next to yours, even bumping against it as he shifted his grip. I didn't know what to say. That's the only reason I wouldn't talk to you. If I had known the answer, I'd have told you right away. Miranda murmured on the other end of the line. You didn't want to say. Anything I tried to do bothered you, and you could have told me you didn't know. Yeah, I think I was angry at myself. I did a dumb thing and I didn't want help with it. I wanted to be mad and just deal with it myself. It made me keep doing dumb things. Oh. This speakerphone to speakerphone nonsense is mad ghetto. Right. When she spoke again, her voice was quiet, as tender and vulnerable as the words.
I'm sorry.
Staying up late watching stuff was all my fault. I had to find a way to fix it. That's what I thought anyway, but I should have given you space. I'm sorry for being so pushy and sensitive. Hardly. Miranda Eckert having a flaw? I've never heard of such a crazy thing. Miranda let out a ghost of a giggle. Cove cleared his throat. Maybe you should call each other now? Cove's over it at this point. Sorry.
Sure.
Can do. Thanks for giving me the kick in the butt to do this already. Randy, Mandy, I'm gonna call you right now. Bye, Cove, and Rain and Cove. She hung up after squeezing in another quick bye, though not giving you or Cove room to respond in kind. Miranda laughed, the noise tinkling gently like wind chimes in a summer breeze.
You're really nice.
Thank you for listening and helping. I'm gonna hang up now so I can answer Terry's call. Bye. Bye and good luck. Bye, talk to you soon. Miranda hung up, still chuckling softly as your call ended. The room felt emptier without the others' voices in it. Cove expelled a sigh that crashed through the newly fallen silence. He dropped his arms to his sides, letting his head hang down like a puppet at rest. Thank God. They shouldn't have involved us in that. I'm so relieved it's okay. You were simply happy your friends had made up. The day's events had drained you. You were content now that Cove seemed at ease again. I'll just say that. Cove scratched at his face, his expression cloudy. I think I need to find better ways for dealing with conflict because that was awful. We could all probably do better at that. I think you did okay given the circumstances. Yeah, I think that would help. I'll just say this. Cove meekly smiled as he rubbed at his eyes, weariness creeping over him, and mumbled his next words. We can talk about it another day. Conflict resolution methods? Oh no, forget it. Your eyebrows rose and then a light bulb went off in your head. Before Miranda called, didn't you say there was something you'd wanted to say? Cove's original visit had been thrown so off kilter that it was a struggle to wind your memory back to when he'd first turned up. Now you did, though. You remembered that he had been perky when he'd arrived this afternoon. Was it good news? Cove brushed his hands against his now folded arm shyly. Well, yeah, maybe. I'm not exactly sure it counts as news or even good. It's just is what it is. I'm happy about it, though. You were curious, but didn't want to push Cove if he didn't want to speak about it. You don't have to say anything, but if it makes you feel good, I think it is good news. Cove chuckled awkwardly, a hand creeping up to ruffle the hair on the back of his head. It's fine. If you want to hear, I can tell you. He shifted on his feet as if a different posture might give him the support he needed for the conversation. I didn't want to make it a big deal, but I I just know what my sexuality is now. Oh, a real subject change, huh? He chuckled. True, it was unexpected, but you were excited that Cove had come to understand himself more, and glad he wanted to share that with you. That's great. Tell me more. Cove drew a breath, straightening up. I'm demisexual. Me too, Cove. Yes. So, most of the time, I don't really have those kinds of feelings, physical wants and stuff. It's only in some situations when I'm already really emotionally and romantically connected to someone that I start to even think about anything sexual, and it's only with them. I hadn't heard the term until pretty recently, and it just made a lot of sense once I knew what it meant. I had a word that fit how I felt.
Yeah.
I think all teens at one point in time are... Oh yeah, for sure. I thought everything was the end of the world. And I'm pan-romantic because I've never had a preference for a specific gender or anything, so yeah. That makes sense. Cove looked down at the floor. Being so open and direct about a matter that personal, which you were sure he'd spent a long time trying to figure out, seemed to be kind of weird for him. Despite that, there was a small, proud smile on his face, and when he looked up again, his gaze was steadfast. All this talk of co-sexuality made you reflect about your own. Your feelings on yours hadn't wavered, your views had evolved since you were younger. I mean, I don't remember what I put, but I'm pretty sure they're the same. Cove had known for years now. It was heartwarming that he had reached a point where he felt similarly capable of discussing his own. You felt even closer. You could tell that Cove felt it had been an emotionally draining day that had now come to a close, everything wrapped up neatly with a bow on top. You'd had some good talks with your friends and with each other. A lot had been brought out into the light, and you come out of it not only knowing each other better, but yourself too. But there was still something that Cove didn't know, something that had gnawed at you many times over the years. You never told Cove about how you'd first met his dad. You'd always held it back from him, unsure of how he would take the revelation. His dad seemed to have done the same, as Cove didn't seem to have heard of it from Mr. Holden either. Oh shit, stop trying to get me to tell him! You decided that the secret had hung over you long enough. Maybe you'd tell him someday, but not today. You felt it didn't matter anymore. There was no need to rake up old drama. I'm not telling him. He already emotional. The day had been sufficiently dramatic without introducing the oldest skeleton in your closet. It could wait until another time.
Hey.
We should probably head downstairs soon if your moms are still wanting everyone to get together. Yeah, that's right. Hold on, guys. Be arpy. Okie dokie. Now we're back. So, let's get back into it. Hold on, I'm not on my right screen here. Okay, there we go. Okay. With a renewed spring in your step, you led the way out of your room. You got downstairs to find the others already assembled and waiting.
Hi.
Hello. Hey, good to see you both.
Hey!
Here we are, trying to corral everyone into a group, but the two of you were already upstairs this whole time. Hey, Dad, we had some stuff to talk about. Yeah, but we made it, so what's the plan? How about cards? There was a murmur of interest from the others. You were keen to play, that was fine with you. You'd play along with the others. You didn't really want to play cards. It was very nearly, but not quite unanimous. Mr. Holden demurred.
Nah.
I think I'll sit this one out. Boy, where's the fun in that? Join in. Yes, and I know there's a lot of people, but we can make it work. It's not even that many of us for cards, what the hell? Mr. Holden shrunk into himself, embarrassed by their attention. Dad, you love playing cards. We do it at our house all the time, not Cove snitching. Yeah, remember the time I played over there? Those were serious games. We made bets with real money and everything. Dad? Mr. Holden broke under the combined force of everyone's attention. Clove and Rain, you're adults now. You deserve to know the truth. I used to throw the card game so you could win. I put up a good fight, but I always made sure to lose a lot more rounds than I won. Okay. Hi, Spawns. What's up? Not him over here trying to act. Okay. He toyed with the end of his ponytail, clearly distressed at revealing this bit of info. He did have a history of bad surprises, so that may have been why. I know people want to be taken seriously and fake wins don't mean as much, but I couldn't help myself. It's so much better when everyone else got the chance to be victorious. Kira knew and went along with it. Cove laughed in disbelief that this was the thing his dad was stressed about hiding after the other stunts he's pulled over the years. So what? Lots of parents do that. I had guessed it, sure, though looking back it makes sense. That's right. What's the big deal, Cliff? You can finally take the kid gloves off and give them a run for their money. Mr. Holden smiled coyly, his gaze lowering. I'm not sure that's a good idea. And why not? He waved his hands expansively, the movements fluid and vague. It's just, actually, I am something of a card shark. I used to make lots of fast cash off games. Casual players don't have a shot unless it's a game of pure luck. Cove's jaw hung open, his wide eyes fixed on his father. Really? There was a touch of amazement, even admiration nestled among the shock. The other members of the Palmer family exchanged looks, ranging from Liz's disbelief to Mom's intrigue, with Ma somewhere in the middle between the two. You can't simply make a claim like that and expect us to go along with it. Let's see you back it up, Shark Man. Mr. Holden gave her a crooked smile, his demureness quickly being replaced with the confidence of someone very skilled or very misguided. You sure about that? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Definitely. We've got to see this so-called non-casual player in action. Well, I might be able, though who knows, maybe I've gotten rusty. His coyness continued to rile the gang up, and he was getting a kick out of it now.
Please?
Come on, please.
All right.
All right, I can dust off the old tricks. Great. Cove beamed at his father while Mom clapped Mr. Holden on the back. Liz darted off to get a deck of cards while the rest of you settled in for the game. Hold on. I need to look. I need to see something. Hold on. I gotta do a little bit of typing right now. Let me see something right now. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. There was just something I was about to... I forgot the second part of what I was about to do. Let me think. Oh, I know what I was about to do. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's get back into it. Hands were dealt. Mr. Holden wasted no time proving his words were true, wiping the floor with all of you. Damn, you played several rounds, even switching games, but none of you were a match for him. I'm trying to sit out and then he actually plays and then he kills it. That was how the alliance came to be forged. The rest of you joined forces against Mr. Holden only, just to try increasing the odds of beating him. With your combined efforts, you pulled out a few victories, yet it was still a challenge. He was clearly a professional. These were his skills now, rusty with disuse. You couldn't even imagine what a deadly opponent he had been in the past. Despite that, you still had fun. Working cooperatively actually fostered a sense of camaraderie with the others. Mr. Holden didn't appear fazed by this strategy. You actually wondered whether the increased challenge made it more interesting for him. You spent the rest of the afternoon together with your family and the Holdens, having fun. It was an interesting evening for sure, with many discoveries for everyone. It was freeing, and yet simultaneously, you felt more tied together than you had been before. That was a very interesting part. I don't know what to make of some of it. Like, the beginning was like, I don't know. It was just so random. Okay, charity. This is our second one, guys. Remember, we're just doing 2. Clove pushed himself to his feet from where he had been, bent down in the sand, stretching out his back and groaning softly. A tired breath slipped past his lips as he wiped his brow, looking out over the shore. It looks great. You stood beside him, joining in the surveying of the sand that almost seemed to sparkle beneath the midday sun. Okay, so this is I guess we're doing the Orca thing. The two of you had been out on the beach since sunrise, cleaning up and down the beach, looking for various debris, and work had paid off. Using a hand to shield your eyes from blinding rays, you glanced across the way where the other volunteers from Orca were gathered. They were easily recognizable by the high-vis vests they wore. It looked as though everyone was about ready to wrap things up for the day. I'm happy to see it in a better state. I'm exhausted. I'm just glad it's almost over. You did great, Cove. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. Let's hope more people learn the joy of putting trash where it belongs. You nodded in agreement, reaching for your drink bottle and gulping down the cool water inside. Though you knew the work you were doing was for a good cause, being out in the heat all morning had been slowly draining your energy until you had next to nothing left. Cove placed his hands on his hips, a pleased grin pulling at the corners of his mouth as he admired the work you'd both done. You had begun to realize during your time volunteering for the organization how seriously Cove took his service. It was easy to see that it was something important to him. You felt equally as invested and always gave your best efforts. You enjoyed the work, but mostly wanted to have a good time. Miranda was right. You volunteered because it was a good reference. You didn't want to be there, but you didn't know how to turn it down. I'll say this. Being part of an organization like Orca meant you got to meet different people and go to all sorts of places you might not have had the chance usually.
Not bad.
We did a nice job today. It's been a good year so far. It's crazy to think that it's already time to push the big event. You let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that Orca organized every year. Being a completely fundraising focused event for large donors, it was crucial for the organization's projects in the year to come. You had to be over 18 to attend, so this was your first opportunity to actually see it in person. All you had heard about it so far was that it was a prim and proper organization with speeches and everything. You didn't know what else to expect from it, as you weren't a part of the group who planned the evening. Before the big night came around, the volunteers would have to sell the tickets for it, and that's where you'd be helping. I'm excited to go. I'm nervous about the event. I don't even really want to go. I'm curious about the night. You shrugged. I'm nervous. You looked down at the sand shyly, twisting your fingers together. It was going to be fancy and full of very important strangers. I can agree with you there. It's part of the program, though. I just don't feel excited about attending a super formal meal with proper etiquette and stuff, you know? He threw his arms out to the side, making a bit of a show at how ridiculous it seemed to him. I've got sand all over my room and only one nice shirt, and I go barefoot pretty much whenever I can. I'm gonna be so out of place. Right, I bet you'd rather stay out here. I don't want to have to worry about manners. You can make it work for one night. Doing something that fancy will make it fun. Yep, you'll definitely seem out of place there. You didn't say anything. I'm just gonna say this. This is where you really belong, not in white collar society. He chuckled a little and gave you a sidelong glance. You know me too well. A small beeping noise came from Cove's pant pocket, and he pulled it out and glanced at the screen. It's the organizers. They've sent a text to the group. Time to call it a day here. Finally, let's move on. Cove tucked the cell away, eagerly turning to you. Let's head over and drop the trash bags off at the trucks. Then we can drive back and join the ticket team. We've got to be there pretty soon to relieve them. With a stretch of shore this long, the plan was to switch places with the other team who had been pushing the tickets for the fundraising dinner halfway through. It would be a full day of work, but it was Orca's largest event of the year, and all hands were on deck to make sure it was a success. You raised your hand for a high five, you nudged your shoulder against Cove's, you started pushing Cove on the back to move forward, you ran off, you started to walk. Do this. Time to go. He resisted, leaning his weight against your hands and digging his feet in the sand. With a burst of laughter, you pulled away quickly and he almost fell backwards into the sand.
Hey!
He joined in with the laughter while stumbling to catch himself. You collected the trash bags spread along the way together, heading across the beach to hoist them into the trucks before heading off to the next job. The drive back to your neighborhood and making your way to the shopping street was fairly quick, though Cove stressed a little about being late. Luckily, he was able to find a parking spot nice and close to where you need to be. You jumped out of the car and quickly went towards where you knew the group would be. Finally reaching the stall that was set up to sell tickets, you stopped for a moment to catch your breath. That was quite the flurry of activity. It would be your job for the rest of the afternoon to help sell tickets to for the fundraising dinner, and looking around the street, you saw that there were plenty of potential buyers out today. That would hopefully help to move the tickets along. The stall itself was simple, a portable table with a few plush sea animals as decorations and a banner stuck across the front. There were two volunteers who were already packing up and getting ready to head off to the beach. They gave both of you a friendly smile as you arrived. Hey Cove, Rain, how'd things go at the beach?
Not bad.
It was good. The place is looking great. We're lucky to get a 2-for-1 when it comes to you guys. Cove rolled his eyes and ran a hand through his seafoam colored hair. Here we go again. You laughed it off. That's right, that's us. Their teasing rubbed you the wrong way. You shrugged it off. I'll just say that's right, that's us. We're joined at the hip, some might say. The volunteers chuckled and packed up their last of their stuff, and Cove seemed to relax a little more. The volunteers made room for you and Cove behind the table while they circled around to the front of it. Thanks for coming in for a shift. We'd better make this quick so we can head off to the next place. No problem. What do you need us to do? You mumbled a reply, content to sit back and let Cove deal with the handover. One of the volunteers handed you a clipboard with all the details needed to sell tickets, while the others tossed a set of keys to Cove, which he caught with ease. Those are for the money box and supply kit. Make sure to keep them on you at all times. Aside from handling the cash for the tickets, there's also a form on the clipboard for guests to fill in their info. That way we know how many tickets we've sold and who will be attending the event. There's a small script beneath if you get stuck for what to say, and that's about it. Pretty simple, huh? I think we've got this. Satisfied that you knew what you were doing, the volunteers said their goodbyes and started walking away, leaving you and Cove to manage the stall alone. The keys jingled in his hand as Cove waved them off before he stuffed them into the pocket of his pants for safekeeping. Bye, have fun. Once the volunteers were out of sight, Cove dropped down into a chair behind the counter with a sigh. We made it here just in time. It's cool we traded places with nothing happening. They might have been getting late to clean up duty. He leaned back in his seat, getting fully comfortable in the space, and gave you a small smile. I'm taking the other seat. It was just a simple plastic chair that squeaked when you sat on it, but it gave you a good view of the street. We've got things under control. I was so stressed about getting here. Things could still go wrong. I'm glad this work lets us at least rest in one place. You rubbed at your eyes tiredly. You returned his smile. Say this. Yeah, I really need to get off my feet for 5 seconds. Cove rummaged around the station a little, picking up a stuffed toy Orca and holding it up in front of his face. You had to admit that it was pretty cute with its big bulging eyes and oversized flippers. Setting it back down on top of the table, Cove moved on to check out the rest of the stall, finding a cooler stashed beneath the table. When he pulled it out and opened the lid, you could see that it was filled with half-melted ice cubes and about half a dozen water bottles. Grabbing one of the plastic bottles, he unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. You watched the condensation running along the side and onto his fingers.
So?
Do you want one? Cove set his water on his side of the table before pulling out another, holding it out towards you. You accepted the water bottle. I brought my own things. No, I'm not thirsty. I'll just take it. Thanks. After opening it up, you took a drink and let out a satisfied sigh. You hadn't realized how thirsty you had been, and it was always good to stay hydrated. The two of you got settled in easily, and you took the chance to look over the paperwork on the clipboard. Cove joined you, leaning over your shoulder to get a better look. Seems like pretty standard stuff. He muttered, and you nodded quietly. It had general info about the event and the work you need to do at the stall, as well as the amount of tickets sold thus far and the number remaining. Cove tapped a finger on the counter as he read quietly over the notes, muttering a few things now and then that you didn't fully hear. He seemed content to be there, but you were sure that the afternoon would pass by quickly. When he glanced out towards the crowd and made a small sound, you followed his line of sight to see that a potential supporter was on their way over to the booth. You psyched yourself up, you were feeling anxious, it was time to do customer service, you tried to relax for a bit. This is going to be a pain. You quietly continued checking over the papers. I'll do this. Hi, how are you doing today? Cove greeted the person as they approached, and you were glad he had stepped in instead of making you do it. You were much more content with working in the background, and so designated yourself the task of taking guest details down instead. Time passed as the two of you manned the stall, and as people approached, your sales pitch would either have them asking for a ticket or two, or heading off and mumbling maybe next time. All in all, you managed to sell a decent amount of tickets, and you could tell that Cove was happy with the outcome. Oh my gosh, this is so fucking pretty. I love it. As the afternoon drifted along, 6 p.m. arrived, time to pack everything up and head home for the evening. Your work with Orca was far from over, but right now there was only one thing left to focus on, attending the actual event. The days continued on in a normal flow, and before long, the night of the Orca fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening, and you were in your room getting ready as the minutes ticked closer and closer towards the time you needed to leave. You wanted some privacy, so you had locked yourself away on your own. Liz was helping you pick out an outfit. Cove was on speakerphone. Liz was helping you get ready while Cove was on speakerphone. I don't know. I'll just say Liz is helping me. You stood in front of her considering different items while she sat on the edge of your bed, lips pursed tight. She had given a firm yes or no to each item you showed her, which had now reduced your options down to a small pile to choose from. The event had strict guidelines, and you wouldn't be let in unless you were dressed to code. That meant having to find a truly professional outfit, but one that you were also happy with. You were happy to have the chance to dress fancy, you wanted to be practical about it, you weren't happy about having to dress up. I mean, sure, I'm happy. There were a couple of outfits that didn't get nearly as much use as you would have liked, and now was the time to show them off. You smiled as you picked your way through the items, your excitement shining bright.
It's fine.
You don't need to get too in your head thinking about the look, but you do need to hurry up and pick something. Oh, aren't you helpful, Liz? Don't push me, Liz. You laughed a little. You shook your head. You rolled your eyes sarcastically and pouted. You knew you needed to make a decision and didn't appreciate the way Liz was pushing you towards it. Sorry, I'm only trying to get this done. Taking a deep breath to refocus yourself, you looked over the options one last time. It was time to decide on an outfit, and quick. You chose a dress, you chose a button-down shirt and pants, you chose a blouse and pants, you chose a button-down shirt and a skirt, you chose a blouse and a skirt. Probably a blouse and pants. Liz nodded in approval, clapping her hands together satisfied. Finally, we're making some progress. Standing in front of your mirror, you quietly assessed your outfit. You thought about adding an accessory or two, you liked it how it was. Of course we're adding accessories. I needed a little something extra to finish it all off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete your outfit. Okay, we're gonna do a necklace. Turning back to the mirror, you let Liz drape your best necklace around your neck and clasp it together at the back. A bracelet, of course. You slipped a bracelet around your wrist and made sure it was sitting there properly. A ring. You couldn't leave the house without slipping on that. Holding your hand up to the light, you quietly admired the way it glinted. An anklet. I don't know how long the pants are, but I'll get that. You had to quickly remove your shoes to slip on the anklet before stepping back into them again. Earrings, of course. You hurried to put on a pair of earrings to match your outfit, aware that time was running short. Probably a belt. You slipped a belt around your waist and fastened the buckle, nodding at your reflection in approval. That's it for me. I don't need any of that. And that was everything. And with that, you decided to apply makeup. You asked Liz if she could put the makeup on for you. Bitch, you doing my makeup. Leaning up in front of the mirror again, you spoke over your shoulder. Do you think you could help with some makeup for tonight? Absolutely, I'll show you everything I know. You're welcome for that. Thank you. With that, Liz really got into gear. She worked deftly to apply all the details without holding you up too long, all while keeping you informed on what was happening to your face. Finally, you were dressed. It had all come together. Cove sent through a text saying he was heading to the car and would see you in a bit. When you looked at Liz again, she had a goofy smile pulling at her lips. You look very nice, Rain. Thank you, you twisted around your outfit excitedly. I do look good, don't I? Now you're talking like our moms. You blushed and smiled at the compliment. Knowing you had made the right decision with everything had you feeling more confident. Liz wiped a pretend tear away with her finger, sniffling dramatically. Oh, precious Rain, you're really all grown up. It happened in the blink of an eye when I wasn't even looking. She chuckled to herself, nudging you towards the door. All right, time to get downstairs. Cove awaits. You carefully headed down the stairs and into the living room where your moms were waiting for your appearance. As you entered, they both stood up from the couch and came over to you, smiling broadly. You look so wonderful, Rain.
Nice.
And very mature, too. I know, right? They continued to coo and fuss over you until you managed to brush them off. Ma took Mom by the arm and held her close, the two of them admiring you proudly. You enjoyed the attention. Thank you. You sighed dramatically. I already got this from Liz. You wondered why they were making such a big deal. I'll just say thank you. It felt a little strange to have everyone's attention on you, but you liked it nonetheless. Liz smiled at you from where she stood, her expression soft. Ma came in to give you one last hug, and before you knew it, another pair of arms was wrapped around you, and then a third. Both Mom and Liz giggled as they hugged you tight. We hope you have so much fun tonight. Oh shit.
Have fun.
We won't wait up for you. Stay out as long as you need. You're old enough now. With a last wave goodbye, you left your family and approached the front door. It was time. Stepping out into the night, you closed the door behind you gently and looked out across the street. Cove was standing there as expected, next to the garage of his house and tapping away at his phone. He looked up at the sound of the door closing. Oh, he actually looks really nice. Hey, Rain. Hey, I hope you're ready to do this. You took the chance to check over his outfit as he walked away to meet you. It was formal for sure, though it didn't feel overly posh. It made sense for him. He looked you over as well, a big smile on his face. I have no idea how you managed to make such an amazing transformation. Trying to say I'm ugly, motherfucker? He chuckled as you nudged him on the arm, rolling your eyes at his teasing. Thank you, you felt shy over it. Your look is very nice too. Damn, Cove, you're so hot right now, you said teasingly. You shrugged. I'm gonna say this, he looks good. Yeah, well, I hope you take it all in while you can, because there's a good chance you won't be seeing me like this in anything again. Oh my gosh. You laughed as Cove pulled at the collar of his shirt, making an uncomfortable face. You laughed at the reaction. Then he shook his head, glanced back towards the garage, and throwing a thumb over his shoulder, spoke.
Come on.
We should probably get going. Wouldn't want to be late to such a grown-up event, right? Yeah, let's go. You headed over to Cove's car together, hopping in and strapping on your seatbelts. You were on your way. The event was being held at a place you had never been to before. You brought up the location on your phone to help Cove navigate there. It took some time to find the right address, and once there, you were met with the task of finding a parking spot. Though you were on time, it seemed like everyone else had already showed up and claimed the spaces. Eventually, you found a suitable place before realizing that it required payment. Cove covered the amount, taking a ticket from the machine and leaving it on the dashboard of the car. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty! Despite the small holdup, you managed to ultimately make it to the event and confirm you were on the guest list before being shown into the dining area. Cove whistled low as he looked around, taking in the extravagance of the room. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the entire place was decked out with beautiful oceanic displays. You were stunned yourself. It was extremely high class, even more so than you had already expected. It's so nice. This is the best looking event I've ever been to. It's way too frilly for me. It's so overdone. Could be worse. You didn't comment. Let's say this is the best looking event I've ever been to. Your lips parted in a wondrous smile as you took in the decorations and the guests all dressed to the nines. Cove met your eyes with a similar look on his face. You got the impression that he felt the same way about it all. The sound of your names being called out echoed over the din in the room. When you looked around, you recognized a couple of the organization leaders looking your way. They approached you both in greeting, giving you a welcoming smile and a hello. Cove, Rain, we're glad to see you can make it, especially after all the hard work you've done to help make this night happen.
Of course.
Definitely, I wasn't gonna miss it. Hi, you say that as if we had a choice, you joked. I wouldn't miss it either. Hello, I'm thrilled to have made it. You gave a soft nod. I'll just say this. The place looks amazing. It's so nice to do something like this. Well, thank you for being a part of the team. You're always welcome to help us out with activities whenever they come up. Thank you. Cove shrugged then, eyes darting around the place with an awkward look.
So...
I guess we should talk to more people. There isn't much else to do at an event like this. You found your way into groups of people who were standing around, chatting, while some light music played in the background. Servers with large silver trays were gliding between the guests, offering drinks and canapes. Cove approached various people as you wound your way through the guests. He managed broaching new conversations well. You were enjoying talking to so many different people, both guests and members of the organization alike, and found yourself enjoying the company. The sound of a microphone crackling came from the podium at the other end of the room. Someone who you assumed must be the host for the event was asking everyone to sit down in preparation for the meal and speeches. You and Cove looked for your table, finding it easily enough by the little name cards that were placed delicately beside the napkins. A few others joined you at the table, though they weren't anyone that you recognized. The host was still speaking as people were settling, starting off the speeches by giving a welcome to everyone attending. She went on to provide some information about Orca, which you suppose was for the guests who weren't a part of the organization, and the purpose of the fundraiser tonight. Orca's goals, as she explained it, were to aid in the conservation and restoration of oceans and beaches. There were many people who had helped to make the group as successful as it was. When she read off a list of several volunteers who worked on making the event happen, Cove's name was one of the first to come up. His chest puffed out in pride at that. Your name then came up a little further down the list. You were smiling from ear to ear at the mention. As she continued on to thank the large donors for the event, you checked over at Cove. He was still grinning happily to himself and tapping his fingers over the tops of his knees, pretty pleased to have been mentioned by name. You laughed quietly at his reaction. You rolled your eyes. You were excited for him. You could relate to that feeling. You tried to keep focus on the speech. I'm excited for him. He had worked so hard to make this event happen. It was the least that he deserved. While the host continued speaking, multiple servers dressed in black were setting the first course of the menu in front of guests. One of the servers set down a plate in front of you, and you thanked them quietly before looking over the dish with interest. You recognized the dish as a simple Caesar salad. The host quickly wrapped up the end of her speech, thanking everyone once more before inviting you all to begin your meal. Anyone who had included a special dietary note when signing up for the event received a vegan or vegetarian version, and there were also small baskets of bread set around the table. Oh my gosh, I love bread! You ate both the salad and the bread. You just ate the salad. Bro, I'm eating the fucking bread. Fuck a salad. Cove wolfed down the salad before munching into a breadstick, quickly devouring that as well. I hope the next part comes out soon and it's bigger. You could hear him mumbling to himself as he reached over for another piece of bread. He glanced around the table and you followed his line of sight with curiosity, noting that everyone else was still eating the salad. Stopping his hand midair, he quickly pulled back and rested it on his lap without taking another breadstick after all. It was clear that he was starting to feel unsure of himself as he looked a little out of place here. He folded his arms and turned away from them to you. You didn't like the salad? I'm saving room for the main course. I don't really like Caesar salad. I like Caesar salad, but this one doesn't look good. I'm not very hungry. I'm saving room. I get it. His gaze remained purposely tunneled on you, as if he was trying not to even think about what the rest of the table might be doing. You gave Cove a pat on the hand. You made silly faces at the other guests while they weren't looking. You picked up a breadstick and gave it to Cove. You discreetly flipped the other guests off. What the hell? You sat there quietly, feeling uncomfortable yourself. Why would we flip them off? What the hell? They didn't do anything to us. I'm gonna give him a breadstick. It's okay. Oh, thank you. Cove spoke gently as he took the bread from your hand, looking choked up by your reassurance. Boy, please don't start crying. He munched away on it happily, seeming much more at ease. It wasn't much longer until the main course was arriving, and the various chicken, steak, and veggie dishes were being served throughout the room. An array of scents wafted through the room, making your mouth water. You had chosen the chicken, you chose the steak, you went with the vegan meal, you went with the vegetarian. I mean, I honestly don't want any of this shit, but I guess I'll take the chicken, I don't know. A plate of perfectly roasted chicken and vegetables was set in front of you with a delectable pale gravy. Cove had gone, I'm just gonna pretend it's Bojangles. Cove had gone for the steak, and once he started to dig in, he was completely absorbed by his meal. You're gonna choke if you keep inhaling your food like that. You kicked him under the table teasingly, you flicked something at him while he was off guard, you focused on your own food. It was going to be a full evening, so you wanted to try eating something while you could. Dinner eventually ended, and the last of all was dessert. A lemon sorbet that had been partially dyed blue. The mix of white with bold streaks of blue made the little scoop look like a ball of roaring ocean waves. The effect was very pretty, but the serving size was small. Perhaps it was the price to pay for artistry. You turned to Cove to find him pouting a little at the size of it. That boy wants some dessert. Digging into the dessert, it took him only a few bites to polish it off. Again, the other people around the table had barely even begun eating. An unimpressed air settled over him as he sat back in his chair, sipping at his water unhappily. Well, what's wrong with him? You should appreciate what you got. Oh, he's upset about the ice cream? You were such a big baby. You laughed at his moping. We can get more dessert later. You cleared your throat. I'm laughing, because what the hell? Are you really upset about your dessert not being large enough? He looked up at you sheepishly, embarrassed to have been caught sulking over such a thing. He fumbled for a defense. It was just really good, that's all, and now it's gone, but I'm okay. With a slight grin, he shrugged to show that he was really fine. Would you like a bite of mine? Do you want mine? You pushed the dish towards him and his eyes widened in surprise. He looked down at the dessert and then back at you as if wordlessly asking if you were really sure. It's okay, you can have it. He hesitated a moment more before pulling the sorbet in front of him, a small smile tugging at his lips.
Thanks.
You're welcome. He scooped up a spoonful of the treat and put it in his mouth, humming happily. You felt satisfied knowing he'd enjoy it much more than you would. You leaned back in your chair, looking around quietly. After a moment or two, you felt Cove giving you a sidelong glance. He then took another spoonful of the faux ocean and held it for you. Sure. Leaning forward, you ate the dessert from off his spoon. I don't know why we sharing a spoon. Like, you're not my bae or anything, but whatever. Enjoying the bright, citrusy taste on your tongue. It's good. Yeah. Another person from Orca got up on stage to make a speech as everyone was nearing the end of their meal. They spoke mostly about the individual projects that the organization was working on and their plans for the near future, as well as encouraging anyone who was interested to consider volunteering. Cove bent forward over the table with his chin balanced on a hand, listening attentively to the words. As they came to a conclusion and everyone gave them a round of applause, Cove caught your eye and smiled. You wondered what would happen now. Oh, this is so pretty. And then the lights dimmed. A couple of spotlights came on, projecting a water light effect around the room. Are we about to start dancing? Tyler, I didn't realize it was his spoon. I didn't realize it was his spoon. Okay, I'm not like Miranda and Terry sharing their straws and shit. I'm different. The guests rushed over the ambience and you looked around with wide eyes at the ripples on the walls. The DJ that had previously been playing some soft mood music in the background announced that the floor was open for dancing, slowly turning the volume up so it drifted through the space. When you glanced at Cove, his eyebrows had shot up and he mumbled quietly. I didn't know there would be dancing. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it. He gave an awkward laugh as you both watched as people rose from their seats. It was clear now that many of the donors were couples. A small crowd had started to form on the dance floor, and the DJ played a romantic song to get everyone started off. Cove propped an elbow on the table again, smooshing his cheeks on his hand as he idly let his gaze float over the small sea of guests. Get sturdy! Just imagine. Do you want to dance, Cove? I'm going to try to find someone to dance with. You stayed seated. I kind of want to say seated and see if he asks me. You didn't really want to dance at all, content with simply watching everyone else for a while. Oh shit. I guess he's not gonna ask. Relaxing at the table, you let the music wash over you while you observe the dancers twirling, spinning, and swaying out on the dance floor. It was nice to just sit there quietly for a moment, enjoying the atmosphere. After a little while, Cove broke the silence. A lot has happened, huh? You nodded faintly. You weren't sure if he meant just today, this summer, or your entire time knowing each other. But it didn't really matter. It was true either way. Thinking back on the years that you and Cove had been neighbors, it was difficult to even try to reflect on it all at once.
I'm so glad.
I'm glad we ended up here. He gave you a soft look and you beamed, knowing that could also mean many things, but from his tone, you were certain he didn't only mean here at this event. It was more than that. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, so I think we have to tell your dad thanks. You couldn't even speak. You chuckled happily at the two of you and the long adventure you've been on. I want to say this so bad, but I'm not. I'm just saying this. The party eventually started to wind down, and at last it came to an end. When the main lights turned on, you blinked against the brightness of them, making sure you still had Cove in your sights. One final speaker came up to the podium on the stage, thanking all the guests for coming and wishing everyone a good night. It had been a long night and you were ready to be on your way. Stifling a yawn with the back of your hand, you walked together with Cove out to the parking lot. This empty-ass parking lot again. The other guests were doing the same, so you got stuck in a bit of a crowd. Though Cove was so tall, you could always see him, and it was easy enough not to get separated. The parking lot itself was quite big and even more noticeable now with fewer cars blocking the view. It took a little while to actually locate Cove's car across this expanse. Eventually you found it and the two of you bundled inside the vehicle and buckled up. The trip home was quiet as you both silently reflected back on the experience. The event had been the biggest night of the year for Orca, and now it was all over just like that. Outside your window, the surroundings soon became familiar, and you found yourselves back in your neighborhood. Cove pulled the car into his driveway and put it in park before letting out a relieved breath. Home sweet home. Yeah. After climbing out of the car, you walked slowly down the road, Cove coming over to stand beside you. You stopped in the middle of the street, right between your house and his, and turned to him, finding him in the process of opening his mouth to speak. Strangely, he clamped his lips together as though he had suddenly thought better of it. You also stay silent. That was quite a night. Good night, Cove. Thank you for taking me tonight. This is kind of awkward. I'll just say thank you. Thanks for coming with me. You stepped in for a hug. You ruffled his hair playfully. You gave him a friendly nudge. You patted him on the arm. You waved goodbye. But I'm gonna ruffle his hair. I can't. He made it in a happy face, and you could tell he was more than ready to fall into the bed. Night ran, not him being unhappy. Oh well. With the last wispy smile, he left towards his front door. Figuring you shouldn't linger in the street for much longer, you crossed the remainder of the road and did the same. When you reached your house, you pulled out your keys and stuck them in the door, trying your best to be silent about it. Opening the door a crack, you turned back and looked at Cove from over your shoulder. Your eyebrows lifted in surprise to see he was doing the same, holding his front door open but waiting for you to go inside before he did. You shared an amused smile before you both stepped into your own houses, locking the door behind you. It was quite late, so everyone else was already asleep. As quiet as a mouse, you tiptoed up to your bedroom and changed out of your formal clothes into your pajamas. Why do I feel like he's gonna come through my fucking window? Now that you were finally home, you were exhausted. You brushed your teeth and got ready for bed in the darkness before crawling under the covers and letting out a heavy breath. It was so strange to think about how that was it. The build-up to the event had felt like so much. Now it was completely behind you. Your mind was busy with rapid yet muddled thoughts as you faded closer and closer to sleep. As unconsciousness creeped up on you, you felt more content. It was a big deal, but there would be more in the future. You could accept what it had been, and you could dream about what you'd get to experience next. And then you were taken away from dreams right back into reality by a sound. What did I tell you guys? I know him so well. Your eyebrows pinched together, fully unprepared to be a part of the waking world again. The day was over and it had been an eventful one. I thought the shit was over and I'm like, wait a minute. But you heard another noise. It was a tapping. Your eyes flew open. The window. There was a tapping that came from your window. Cove Holden. You slowly forced yourself to get up. You went over to let the guy in. You rushed over to him. You tumbled out of bed, taking your blanket with you. You left it on the floor when you scampered over to the window. You saw through the glass that Cove's eyebrows were raised, and you suddenly realized that in your rush you hadn't taken care to be quiet. He had probably heard you crash to the floor, but that wasn't the matter at hand. You flung open the window and faced him completely, with nothing separating the two of you any longer. You had not been surprised to find Cove awkwardly crouched on your window ledge. Very bold of you to pull out like that. However, you were taken aback to see that he was a little overdressed. Cove hadn't changed out of his formal clothes. What the hell? You also noticed he was perched clumsily. You didn't know if it was because he was trying to keep his fancy clothes clean or if he felt weird about something. His body was too stiff and awkward. Cove smiled sheepishly. Hi, Rain. Hi, Cove, why are you here? How come you're dressed like that? It's nice to see you, Romeo. Have you looked at a clock? It's too late for this. You remain silent. I'll just say this. You moved aside and let him climb inside. He cautiously stepped down by stretching his legs over. Strangely, he didn't use his hands for support. It was clear to you now he was holding something. When he was safely on his feet, he briefly checked out his clothes, twisting around to see the back of his pants. He caught you looking and shrugged.
I mean...
I did go home after the event, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to settle down, so I just walked back out. I needed fresh air and time away from everything. He paused for a moment and raised his clasped together hands where you could see them. But then something happened and well, so I have something I want to show you. Why are you in here? Cove grinned like a child and gently unfurled his fingers, not being able to keep you in suspense for even a minute. Carefully sitting inside was a tiny yellow light. It blinked off and then on again, a firefly. What the hell? Delicately, he moved his hand closer so you could see the creature better. They're back. He closed his eyes, his smile now illuminated by his insect companion. Aw. Honestly, I didn't think I'd see them this year. I don't know why. It's just they were kind of late, and I guess I've been worrying about a lot of stuff lately. You could tell that the firefly genuinely lifted his spirits. He seemed at peace, and he wanted to share that with you. The fact that his first thought after discovering the fireflies was to come over and celebrate the joy with you made you suddenly feel very cherished. Cove opened his eyes, but he looked away, not meeting you.
Nice.
It's really nice, I think. Even if the fireflies disappear for a while, it doesn't mean they're really gone. They'll come back. I can see them again. This couldn't wait until tomorrow. It's just... Oh my gosh. What is the other dude's name? Derek? We need Derek to come back. You smile. Technically, fireflies aren't even gone. They're just eggs and larvae. You waited for him to continue. Cove looked at your face, his smile now fragile. It makes me think about the two of us. We're together, then we say goodbye, and then we're together again, day after day, year after year, and even if our time apart gets longer, that doesn't make it forever. Rain, I'll always be there whenever you want to see me. Cove. I'll always be there for you too. Come on, Cove, you're being sappy. Thank you, you're the best, you're a crazy person. You couldn't say a word. I don't even know what to say. I'll just say you're the best. You beamed at him, you hugged him, you ruffled his hair, you teared up, you stood still, stunned. I'll just beam at him, I don't know. He smiled back in return. You let the moment be, content and happy. Cove chuckled, suddenly shy, then he put an arm around your neck and relaxed into the half hug. You're kind of close, my guy, what the hell? What we need is Cove to leave and go to sleep. The firefly suddenly flew off, blinking once and then twice as it looked for another perch. It went dark, and then you saw it to reappear outside your still open window. Cove didn't seem to mind. Cove looked at you, affection plain in his face. Hey, do you want to go out to the hill? The fireflies are still there. Oh my gosh, are you fucking serious? No. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes, and then part of me is with Tyler. I kind of want to say no. Hold on, let me see something. All right, you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, Tyler. Guys, we're gonna do it. I agree with you, Tyler. I feel like we should say no, but let's just see what the hell he has to say. Cove brightened. He was practically bouncing at the thought of a secret excursion before he suddenly became bashful.
So...
How should we leave? We could just try the door. We don't have to do the window thing, but maybe that'd bother your family? We both chuckled at how awkward it would be if your moms, or worse, Liz, saw you going on a midnight firefly catching trip. You'd be sure to avoid that. I don't mind leaving from the window. Let's go through the window. Cove nodded in understanding. You grabbed some shoes and readied yourself for an adventure. Nothing that can't be said tomorrow. You were glad that there was no way you'd run into another soul outside. Cove would be way overdressed and you were still in your jammies. You let Cove go first. He stepped back on the ledge as you carefully followed. He shuffled along and soon you reached the garage. You planned to use the fence from there to reach the ground. Cove jumped to the garage, then the fence, and lowered himself down. It was easy for him. He leaned against the fence and projected hushed words up to where you were waiting.
Are you okay?
Do you want help? Yes. You got to the edge and let Cove spot your descent. He grabbed you about halfway down and brought you to rest firmly on the ground. Cove gave you an encouraging smile, but neither of you risked speaking yet. You briskly snuck behind the house and up to the old white poppy hill. And Cove was right, the entire hill was lit up, insects twinkling here and there with their pale yellow light. Cove let out a contented sigh, finally able to relax in full. He strode further up the hill to better enjoy the view. You walked along as well, letting yourself be surrounded by the twinkling display. Then, without warning, Cove plopped onto his back. He paid no mind to smacking his formal attire in the grass. Fly down. He put an arm under his head and stretched the rest of his limbs out. He was clearly getting quite comfortable in the dirt there. I'm gonna keep standing. You put your arms around yourself and loose yourself in a comfortable stance near him. I wonder if Dad will be mad about the grass stains. He tugged at the collar of his shirt. He didn't sound concerned, just idly curious. Maybe you should figure out how to clean it before he finds out. His smile bent a little and it went silent between you. The only sounds were the rustling of bugs in the breeze and the faraway crashes of waves on the sea. You continued watching fireflies. You wanted to catch some fireflies. You asked Cove if he wanted to catch fireflies. You challenged him to a rolling race down the hill. You asked him to dance with you. I'm just gonna watch. It was easy to be swept away by the atmosphere. Fireflies and stars all glowing in the night and white poppies glittering by their light. The view brought back precious childhood memories. Both of you were determined to take in as much as you could. You smiled with contentment as the fireflies danced. The hour grew late and the fireflies dispersed until only a few stragglers remained. Then even they blinked out of sight, leaving you alone with Cove and your thoughts. It felt as though this was a night that would never end, but you knew it would have to all too soon. You were only grateful to have been a part of it. These were moments to treasure, and you already knew you'd be remembering them for a very long time. Okay. We're free. I'm gonna skip all 6 of these guys and end the summer, and then summer ended. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. But this man Cove, I don't know what to think. Let me make sure I save this. Gotta make sure we save this shit. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Bro, I'm ready for the freaking what is it called? The no, not this shit. What the hell? What this? No. Oh my gosh, whatever. I was trying to just look at the freaking DLCs again. I miss Derek. But thank you guys for being here. I told you guys we were gonna do 2 parts, and we got our 2 parts done. That was actually funny as hell. I think these 2 parts just kind of showed, like I said, I don't mind that. Hold on, let me put on a little something. Let me see what we gonna listen to. Let's see, what is this? Okay, I don't mind a guy being emotional. I don't care. I don't care if a guy cries. That stuff doesn't bother me. But like, I feel like Cove is like overly emotional to the point where it's like, I don't know. It's not me or my character's type. I'll just say that. Like, I feel like he gets, I don't know. Like I don't know. We'll save my critique for next time. I'm gonna continue to give him the benefit of the doubt for the next moment that we do. But like, once we get to the DLC moments, I'm gonna be like, bruh, like, if you still over here crying about stuff, like, me and Derek made a pact that when we're older, if we're still single, we're gonna be together. So I might have to get with him because you tripping right now. So thank you guys so much for being here, though. Be sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe if you haven't already. Probably gonna jump back into this next Saturday, kind of try to make this a Saturday thing until we finish it. Okay, nice, Migas. Yeah, I definitely wanna talk to Derek more. Baxter's a creep, just all kinds of stuff going on. H, what the hell is going on with you? But yeah, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. I might stream tomorrow. I know I usually only do 1 day on the weekends, but I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to stream something tomorrow. Might be a new game. Who knows? We shall see. But good night, guys. Have a good one. You wanted me to stream more? Well, I kind of have some have prior engagements, so I gotta dip out. But yeah, good night, guys.